Good morning and welcome to our next episode of Breakfast with Brandon. Today's going to be a little bit different. Have a little breakfast on the go today because we're going to be going for a bike ride. So you're going to have breakfast with Brandon, but you're also going to be bike riding with Brandon as well. And today for breakfast on the go, I have a smoothie, which we have bananas, strawberries, mangoes, blueberries, and kale with a little bit of apple juice mixed in. Mix it up, and it's bomb. But thank you so much for joining me for breakfast. But let's go ahead and hit the bike. So I'm here with my dude, Skylar. Skylar, what's your favorite Bible verse? It's a pretty good one. Okay, I won't tell. I just said that. You're doing this. Okay. Skylar Salmons. All right, here we are with my dude, Skylar Salmons. That's right, Skylar Salmons. Man, where you go to school?
I go to school at the high school in Orange County, and I'm a senior.
Right now, though, you're doing school at home.
Yeah, doing as much.
But yeah, so we had our breakfast this morning. So we had breakfast with Brandon, then we decided to do a little biking with Brandon, and we ended up riding to Skylar's house. Just had a question for you, Skylar, so they can learn a little bit more about you, one of our students at youth. How long have you been at youth?
Since I was like 6th grade, I think. You started like a year after or before I got there, so came pretty early.
Yeah, one of the OGs.
Came to Young and Unleashed.
Yeah, YNU, out at the old youth building.
Yeah.
Man, it's crazy.
Yeah, for a while.
That's right. So, first off, what is like your favorite thing about youth?
I like there's lots of games you can play there, and I just like the community in there. There's a lot of cool people, and I can talk to whoever I want, basically.
Yeah, for sure. I think, man, having a lot of fun, but making friends as well, and then growing in our faith is awesome throughout the whole process. But I was going to ask you, some people want to know, what is your favorite Bible verse and why? What's it mean to you?
Okay, so my favorite Bible verse is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I like that Bible verse because it's kind of like motivates me. Like, even if I want to do something really bad and I don't think I can do it, I know there's always a way. Whether I think I can get there or not, I know I can get there because that Bible verse tells me so and motivates me, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's super important to know that within that we don't have to worry about our own strength. Like, we don't have to worry about ourselves. I think a lot of times, especially as a high schooler, you play sports and things like that. Speaking of motivating you, I think that a lot of times we try to do things at our own strength. Would you say that's true? Yeah, for sure. And just knowing that, hey, it's not about our strength, but the one who strengthens us that makes all things possible. And man, that's super good. Just wanted to stop by here with Skylar. Man, we love Skylar. You're awesome, bro. But yeah, just wanted to hop in, learn more about Sky, maybe learning more about you coming up here soon. But thank you all so much for joining in with me and Skylar. We're gonna get back to riding.
Peace.
So, you all have had a little bit of breakfast with me. Thank you for coming on a bike ride with me. We just hung out a little bit with Skylar and learned about his favorite verse. And now I'm gonna share with you one of my favorite verses right now that I've been going through in my own personal life that God has really been speaking to me. I mentioned it a little bit last week, and if you haven't seen last week's message or devotion, make sure you check that out. And but I talked about it a little bit last week in Psalm 23. And it talks about, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. And it talks about how God is right there with him, that he comforts him, that his rod and his staff, they comfort him. And just as I dug into this verse a little bit, it spoke to me. God spoke to me through it, and it's why it became one of my favorites. That, man, there's just so much in it. You hear that verse a lot of times, and honestly, a lot of times it becomes just another verse that you've memorized or heard a lot. And that's what it was for me before. But then it started becoming personal. And I was walking through valleys. I was going through those dark times. I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. But then I noticed, like I talked about a little bit, that, hey, for there to be darkness, there's a light. For there to be a shadow, there's a light. And his name is Jesus, and he will never leave me. He is right there with me. He will comfort me. But one part that really stood out to me, and I believe that God wants me to share with you today, is even though I walk through the valley. See, so many times I think that it's easy to try to run or outpace God in our valley. And a lot of times in the valley, in the middle, we miss the miracle that God is performing. See, we're trying to run out of it, but maybe God is just wanting to teach you something through it. See, God doesn't bring you to the valley, but he brings you through the valley. He doesn't bring you to it. He's not the one that has caused you to fall into that darkness, to fall into that sin, to fall into those things. But so many times we've done it ourselves. But just because we've done it to ourselves and we brought ourselves to the valley doesn't mean that he won't bring you through the valley. He will bring you through it. And see, so many times it's easy to ride downhill. See, it's a lot quicker, a lot easier to fall. You go a lot faster. But it's reaching that mountaintop that's really tough. You see, so many times we like to outpace God and feel like we have to work. But instead, he's saying, hey, walk. Walk with me. Don't outpace me, just walk with me. I want to guide you just as if I were to take this bike from the valley and begin to walk up the mountain. I may get tired, but he's right there. I may get weak, but when I'm weak, he's strong. I may not understand everything, I may not get it, but he's always there with me. I may feel alone, but just because I feel it doesn't mean that it's truth and that I'm not alone. He is right there beside of me, and he will comfort me. He will help me get to that mountaintop no matter how long it takes. But the valley is just a season of our life. And it takes walking with Jesus to get to that mountaintop, to experience that better life that he has for us, where we can experience the victory that he has. So I want to encourage you today. Maybe you're in that valley. Don't outpace God. Don't run from him, walk with him. Don't run from him. Walk with him. He wants to comfort you. He wants to guide you in the right direction, the right way. He will never leave you. He will never guide you down the wrong path. So trust him as he walks alongside of you. Thank you so much for joining me, like I said, for breakfast, but also my bike ride, and I will see you all next week.